This is Jack. He lives in America where he uses US dollars every day. Now, Jack wants to go to Germany where the currency is called the euro. But when Jack tries to exchange his dollars, he finds out that for $1 he will get only 90 cents worth of euros. Then Jack travels to Vietnam, where for $1 he gets 25,000 dong. Wait a second. Why does the value of money change from place to place? Why isn't $1 equal to €1 or 1 dong? And why do exchange rates keep changing all the time? In this video, we'll understand everything about currency exchange rates and why money is not the same everywhere. Let's first take a quick look at the history of currency. For a long time, money was directly linked to precious metals like gold. This was called the gold standard. Under this system, a country's currency was tied to a fixed quantity of gold. For example, the US dollar used to be tied to a fixed amount of gold. Because of this, exchange rates remained stable, as no country could print extra money unless they had enough gold reserves. But as economies grew and global trade expanded, countries started moving away from the gold standard, especially during wars and economic crises when maintaining it became difficult. By 1970, most countries adopted a new system called fiat currency. Fiat currency is money that has value because people have trust in it and governments back it. It doesn't have any physical base like gold. That's why some people even call it fake money.
This is fake. Everybody who works for dollars, yen, pesos, rupee, this is fake. Stupid people work for this stuff.
So, the value of fiat currency depends entirely on how much people accept and trust it. If the demand for a currency is high, its value increases. If the demand is low, its value decreases. That's why currencies of strong economies like the US dollar are highly valued, because many countries accept them. In contrast, currencies of weak economies like Venezuela's lose value as even their own citizens don't want to hold them. Now let's understand the factors that affect a currency's value. 1. Inflation. Inflation means the decrease in the value of money. In simple terms, when the quantity of money increases faster than the production of goods and services, prices go up. When inflation is high in a country, its currency loses value because no one wants to hold money that keeps losing value. For example, in 2022 in America, you could buy 2 loaves of bread for $10. By 2024, the same $10 could buy only 1 loaf. Same money, but fewer goods. Zimbabwe is a major example. In 1980, 1 Zimbabwean dollar was equal to 1.35 US dollars. But due to bad politics, corruption, international sanctions, and uncontrolled money printing, its currency collapsed. By 2008, 1 US dollar was equal to 600,000 Zimbabwean dollars. The government launched new currencies several times, but eventually they had to officially use the US dollar and South African rand. Although now they are trying again to revive their currency. 2. Interest rates. You might have heard a lot about interest rates and wondered why they cause so much drama. Interest rate is simply the cost of borrowing money. If you borrow $1,000 at 10% interest, you'll have to pay back $1,000 plus extra $100. Each country's central bank, like the Reserve Bank of India in India, sets the interest rates. If a country has high interest rates, investments there yield better returns. Thus, foreign investors buy that country's currency, increasing demand and strengthening the currency. For example, if US interest rates are higher than Germany's, investors will sell euros and buy dollars to invest in US bonds or savings, increasing the dollar's demand and strengthening its value. However, raising interest rates too high also has drawbacks. Loans become expensive, making it harder for people and businesses to buy houses or start new businesses. This can slow the economy and increase unemployment. That's why central banks must carefully manage interest rates. And that's why, when the US Federal Reserve announces its interest rates, the whole world pays attention. 3. Country situation and foreign investment. When China opened its markets to foreign investors in the 1970s, companies worldwide rushed to set up factories there. To open a factory in China, you needed Chinese yuan for land, labor, and other expenses, increasing the yuan's demand and strengthening its value. Every country tries to attract foreign investment, but investors seek political and economic stability. If a government constantly changes taxes or rules, or if there's unrest and uncertainty, investors hesitate. Thus, strong and stable countries have stronger currencies. 4. Imports and exports. When Japan exports cars, buyers need Japanese yen to pay, increasing the yen's demand and value. If Japan imports coal from Australia, it must pay in Australian dollars. Most countries promote exports to boost demand for their currencies. For example, when the US asked oil-producing countries to sell oil only in US dollars, global demand for the dollar skyrocketed. This system is known as the petrodollar system. Now there's news that Saudi Arabia is considering selling oil in other currencies too. Conversely, countries that export very little, like Tuvalu, directly trade in US or Australian dollars. 5. Pegged currencies. Some countries peg their currencies to stronger ones to stabilize value. For instance, Brunei's currency is pegged 1-to-1 to the Singapore dollar. You can use either without any calculation. Similarly, Belize's currency is pegged to the US dollar. 1 Belize dollar equals 0.5 US dollars. However, pegging a currency makes a country highly dependent on the economy of the currency it's pegged to. If the US dollar falls, Belize's dollar will fall too. So these are the reasons why currency values differ around the world. Hope you understand it. See you in the next video.